Rizz Dungeon, skeleton key to my heart.
Rizz Dungeon, Skeleton Key to My Heart is a deeply queer dungeon crawler game from indie developer Snoozy Kazoo, best known for the Turnip Boy games, which I haven't played, but I've only ever heard good things about them. Rizz Dungeon is a comedic, traditional dungeon crawler that borrows a lot of design ideas, most clearly from the Shin Megami Tensei games and Pokémon, but combining it with dating sim aspects and essentially putting together a polycule simulator for monster girls. You play as Taffy, who uses they-them pronouns and has eye and hair colors that resemble the trans flag, and they have an infinite lust for monster girls. At the start of the game, Taffy is dating the Demon Lord, and in search of a bouquet to give to the Demon Lord to rekindle their relationship, which is apparently somewhat on the rocks. But the demo also explicitly tells you that the story for the demo is not the same as the full game, and that's part of why I'm encouraging you in this video to play the demo even if you already think you're going to play the full game, because there are some story differences and a bunch of dialogue that pertains to this being a demo in a very funny, tongue-in-cheek fashion that I think sold me on the writing pretty quickly. There's a lot of games that try to be funny and fail. This game is actually funny. It feels clever, it feels well-paced, it feels like the story is going in an interesting direction by the end of the demo, even though it explicitly tells you that the canon will be different in the full game. What drew me to this game right off the bat, though, is the impeccable aesthetics. This game looks fantastic. The sprite work is awesome. All of the characters have multiple expressions and poses. The dungeons themselves have a really cool color aesthetic. It's obviously relatively low resolution, but I think as far as this genre goes, this is one of the actually best looking games in it, just because of the incredibly strong aesthetic choices. It is first and foremost a cute game. When you think Monster Girl dating sim, you're probably thinking of more of a sexy game, and this game really tones down that aspect. There are hints and suggestions towards the concept of sex, but they don't really talk about it. There is not sex to be had in this demo at all, and the characters are not highly sexualized. They are more so portrayed as very cute or very cool or just fun, but I would say that fun and cute are the predominant words here. This is not a sexy game. Taffy, the main character, is a goofball, a bit of an airhead, and got a gung-ho attitude, a clear naivety, very funny, kind of self-conscious, but you also can see different sides of personality, even just in this demo, in part because the boss of this demo is, well, I guess I won't spoil it, but I'll get into spoilers a little bit later into this video if you're really trying to avoid them and just hear about the game before you get there. But the boss of the demo was kind of a surprise and an interesting twist in the story that started to unearth more details about Taffy and who Taffy is and what they're going through. The main thrust of this game is that as you explore the dungeon, you encounter monster girls, and you can either fight them or attempt to rizz them. You flirt with them, and then you put down game, and you try to court them to your team, which means you are dating. The girls on your team are explicitly a collection of girlfriends. And so managing your girlfriends mostly involves managing the state of your relationships, figuring out what do they like and dislike when it comes to the way that they're handled in battle, making sure that they're not becoming jealous of one another or that they're having a good time with the placement you've put them in the party, stuff like that. You do not explicitly control any of the monster girls in your party. They are fighting with you, but you do things like encourage them and basically more so try to manage how they are feeling through the battle than what they are explicitly doing. There's also a mechanic where you encounter these healing pools that are also portals that let you go to an inn. And when you're at the inn, you can spend the night with the monster girls. You have to pick up these tickets, sleepover tokens, that let you spend a night with the monster girl and have conversations with them. And these basically require you to sort of guess at what they are interested in. And if you can successfully get them talking, then you'll learn a little bit more about them as people. You also have a Monsterpedia that you unlock, block, which gives you information about the different types of personalities that monster girls have and what you have discovered so far about the way that those personalities interact. So you have to experiment a lot with the systems in order to fill out your Monsterpedia, but it exists as kind of a notebook for you to look back through and make sure you know what you're doing. You can have up to 3 girlfriends in your party at a time, but if you rizz up more girls, they'll just wait for you at the inn. I don't know what happens when you break up with one of them yet, because I didn't try. I also did not end up actually picking up more than 3, because I had not realized that they would simply go to the inn while I was playing for the sake of this recording. But my full demo playthrough ended up being about 45 minutes long, and I was going through it pretty quickly, especially because with the first couple of girls, I had already played a little bit before doing a recording and knew what to say to them. How long the battles last in this game will depend a lot on whether you're trying to pick up the monster girl or destroy them. And if you are trying to pick them up, you basically will get 3 different options for how to rizz them, and if you pick the wrong one, you have to start over the rizzing process. So battles can last a lot longer if you make the wrong choices, and it's pretty much impossible to tell what's going to be the correct choice. But luckily, when you get the wrong one, you also get unique dialogue. So in a way, it could be more fun to pick the wrong options and find out all the different things that the monster girl has to say before you actually get to the point of adding them to your party. None of the dialogue is particularly deep or anything like that. Characters usually just have a few lines that they say, and their personalities are pretty basic, but they're cute, they're funny, and exploring all of the possibilities in the communication is a lot of the joy of this game. I didn't find myself dying at all during the demo, so I would say it's pretty forgiving and not especially difficult. I didn't even really have to use any potions or healing items, but there is some interesting dynamics in the way that your characters power up or down depending on how you interact with them throughout the battle. I ran into, I think, 5 distinct monster girls on my way to the boss. Sometimes I ran into repeats and I just knocked them out because I didn't want another one on my party, but those do give you the opportunity to learn more of the dialogue options if you end up courting a girl correctly the first time and you want to try messing it up on purpose the next time. I really loved the aesthetics and the music in this game. I enjoyed the interactions between the sort of narrator, dungeon master, whatever he is, this skeleton guy that you talk to throughout the game, and is the main person who Taffy is communicating with. Outside of the monster girls, where you mostly talk to them in battle or at the inn, Taffy is usually having dialogue with this sort of DM-type creature. That is until the boss, and getting into spoilers now. If you're already sold, then click away. The boss is a version of Taffy from another timeline, and I don't know if this is just a commentary on this being a demo and that Taffy will be in another timeline in the main game, or if the variety of timelines will be mechanically significant or narratively significant in the full game. But it was a really interesting way to reveal a lot more about their personality over the course of that battle. There were some things about this game that I felt like could get very old by the end of a playthrough, and it's supposed to be 5 dungeons in the final game, so I'm guessing it'll be less than 10 hours long. I'm not expecting it to be like a slog or anything like that, but waiting for all of the messages that tell you if a character's attack and defense have gone up and down can take a little bit more time than I think is necessary, especially if the battle gets really long. You'll end up spending a lot of time watching characters pop in and out of the screen and say repetitive dialogues about their state. I think some of that stuff could maybe be compressed and quickened up a little bit. And there was also some frustration in the fact that sometimes your teammates will continue trying to use status moves against the enemy even though they are no longer effective. This particularly happened to me during the big boss fight, in which I exhausted like every possible option of dialogue during that fight, not intentionally, but it ended up making the fight take a really long time. And therefore, there was a long period where one of my teammates was just trying to use the same status reduction move over and over again on the boss long after it had stopped being effective. Maybe that's part of the intent, that there's like a risk-reward factor in using certain characters who you know might not do the things that you really would hope for them to do. I don't know if there's a way that I could have, it influenced the character to do something differently. It was just a little bit aggravating that they kept making that choice over and over again. Nonetheless, I had a really fun time playing this demo. I loved the writing, I thought Taffy was a strong character, I loved the overall feel of the dungeon crawling, the look of everything in the game, all of the sprite work is just so delightful. The fact that there's even these colorful borders around everything that just look really nice. The animations on all of the icons and stuff like that. The story seems interesting, and the fact that it's basically a polycule simulator that is very explicitly aimed at queer people is a really fun idea for a dungeon crawler. I can't imagine that there's another game that has this vibe to it, where yes, there are Monster Girl sims and dating sims and even combinations of dungeon crawler and Monster Girl dating sim that exist, but none so explicitly queer, none so explicitly cutesy, and none that is clearly written from a place of understanding the relationship dynamics of being in an open relationship, of having multiple partners, and treating that as something relatively normal and fun and cute to explore. And it's not trying to be seedy or weird about it. It is like, no, this is just a cute thing, like a cute type of a lifestyle. I just noticed that there was a blow high on the blanket when you're in bed also. That's an amazing detail. So yeah, if you're queer, you like cute stuff, you like Monster Girls, you like RPGs, you kind of can't go wrong with this demo. I'm definitely wishlisting this game. I can easily see playing the full version and giving a full review once it's out, but I wanted to talk about it here as the launch of this new channel, not only to help bring more love to the game, get more people to put it on wish lists, but also because I like playing and talking about demos, especially if I am confident that the creator of the game is actually looking for feedback on their game. With this one, you can actually opt into a survey to take after the game is done, where you can tell the developers exactly what you felt, and I think that's really cool, especially for a game that is actually this far into development. Like, it feels very complete for what it is. And so the fact that they're opening it up to the audience to give them more notes really shows that they're trying to perfect this thing and make it the best that it can be. This is my new RPG channel, Radiant Precious Gems. You can find me on a lot of other channels all across YouTube under many different names. I will put a link to my link tree in the description that leads to all of my work. Thank you again for listening, and never forget, RPGs forever.